have much I want to talk to you about today. And I'm going to start with this fabulous coat. Also referred to as my Queen of Winter coat. I bought it in 2009. And I went with Jacob and Molly. Jacob drove us all over Roanoke, Virginia, looking for a particular coat. It had to fit. Had to have a hood. Must have a hood. I'm in Virginia now. And it needed to be wool. It used to go to my ankles. And somewhere around here, I've got a piece of wool lined that's this wide. One problem I've had with the coat is the pockets are this big. That's it. There is literally this much room before things fall out. Nope. I can fix that. The same way I fixed the length when I got out here, because having it around my ankles, I was going to end up in a cactus. Another little issue was that when this hood is up and even buttoned, the wind, I fixed that recently with some 100% Noro wool with knitting needles that were given to me many years ago, Denise needles, and it's knit in what's called seed stitch. So I fixed that problem. Isn't it pretty? All the colors. I love it, and I knit it really fast, and I knit it right after I worked on my new coat, which we will now refer to as a duster, because here's what I realized. Staying warm in your coat, you can use all kinds of fabrics to stay warm. Wool is a preference, and here's why. Remember my weather storms coming in? Well, it hasn't stopped since it started. So it's been days and days. I'm hoping it's going to clear up later in the day. Can't count on it. So what I'm doing in here today is I stay warm with the little clay pot. I've been spending a lot of time in here. However, the day that I ripped apart the jeans, and that was Christmas Day. Only reason I kept saying it was Christmas Day, it was just such an odd day. I did everything that day. It was a beautiful, sunny, and warm day. And I waited until late afternoon to wash my hair. Now, I want to talk to you about washing my hair. I don't need my coat on in here, and it will be warmer. I've not been in here long, but I've got a little fan blowing over top, so it circulates the heat in here. There's no sun. Do I need this? Yeah, it's still a little chilly. So I made the scarf. And then I suffered for like 2 days from the ripping out of the jeans. My neck, 2 nights, I did not sleep well, because I could not keep my right arm from going numb. And oh my goodness, it hurt. It starts right, I mean, I know it. It's not like I lay there a long time. If I get in the wrong position, I can stand here and get in the wrong position. And the way to fix it is I just hang my arm down and I look to my right, and I can feel the blood going back all the way into my fingers, my knobby fingers. So lesson learned, seam ripping, jeans, and ripping them apart. Yeah, messes with your neck. So, let's get back to that warm, sunshiny day where I washed my hair in the sink. And why would I do that? And why would I get more dislikes on that particular video? And I'm thinking people didn't want to see me wash my hair. And they didn't want to see me when my hair dried. And they didn't want to, I understand. It may have looked like one thing. But here's what it really was. I made notes. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. So were my notes. But back to the coat. When I realized I needed a wool coat in this predicted weather was when it was actually raining. And I realized a denim coat / duster. It's not going to do in the rain. The wool is naturally, that's just what wool does. It repels the water. Now I don't go out if it's just pouring down. I'm talking about that misty rain, misty desert rain. Okay, that coat, my wool coat, when I bought that thing in 2009, I spent a lot of money on it. Or a lot of money for me. It was an investment. And I knew that. And y'all, that is, how many years is that? Is that 14 years? I've been wearing that coat for 14 years? How is that possible? I have dragged that thing around with me, and in its full length. Oh my goodness. I have flown back and forth across the country before I got my rig. I flew. I was wearing that coat. When I had to sleep in an airport, I was ready. I was never cold. And it's 2 sizes bigger than I am. So I can put on 2, 3 wool sweaters under there. And a scarf. And my other hat with the brim. If I'm out for a while, that's what I'll do. Because this fleece, it doesn't work like wool. I know it's supposed to. But everybody says, oh, fleece. Well, it is warm. And it does repel water to a point. Anyway, okay, back to the story. This is more like follow the bouncing ball. I'm sorry. Back to the thumbs down on my video. And why would I even make that video? Because one, I was very excited that I had waited, and I picked the warmest day. And I picked the warmest time of the day. and it just happened to be on Christmas Day. And the weather has completely, I had like a week of just amazing weather, got a lot of stuff done. And then it turned to this, gray, clouds, not being able to charge my batteries, pain. Oh my gosh, y'all, I was in so much pain. There was no way I was getting on a cold floor and trying to piece this thing together. I've got that big old hood, and then I got the whole long front twice that I got to piece together. So, that day, that very productive day, including the head washing and the hair drain, it's what you might call predictive programming. I share my life here because my life is difficult. And I've always been ahead of my time in my thinking and in my preparing. I know what life is going to be like in our future. And we can say, oh, we're going to fix it in 2024. But I want you to think about the last couple or 3 years. I learned I was right. Which means I might still be right. And it's not just me. It's not just me saying this. I'm not just saying it. His word is saying it. Everybody keeps going, I don't understand. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? Because he said it would be that way. He said it would be exactly what you're seeing. And me wanting to love you, I am showing you that you will make it. Things can be really hard, but you can do it. You can do it with taking what you have and making what you need. Learning to adjust and do without. And by the time I got to Arizona in 2017, everything I owned was in my truck without the camper. For those of you who don't know and haven't looked at videos, there was no camper on the back. There was a shell, and I had bins in there, and I had the tiny. Everything I owned fit in those two vehicles. Now, I have been blessed so abundantly by my subscribers. Y'all built this. All of it. All of it. Y'all would give us gifts, and me and Bob would go out and buy the materials. That fence that's in Bob's front yard for the donkey, that fence was subscriber bought because y'all love us. And I love y'all, and I want you to see the great gift that you've given me of surviving. I can go, I'm into my second week now of not going to town because something happened to my truck. And something was always happening to my truck because Bob put a new engine in my truck in November. You were supposed to drive it 3,000 miles, do all the adjustments, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, we never drove my truck very often. Bob took it one time on a road trip and came back. And he came in and he said, something, 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 and I'll fix it. And I said, okay. So we parked it. He passed away in April. I had put maybe a few hundred miles on the truck at that point, on that new engine. Once again, thank y'all. I say it in every YouTube description that I thank you for the beautiful life that you have been obedient and loved me in spite of myself. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it all. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it all. So, as it turns out, the last time Ken was out here, he took my truck, drove it away, and then he drove my truck home. He fixed my truck, and when he came back, he brought me my duck food already in my truck. A 50-pound bag. I didn't have to carry it out of the post office, and I haven't even taken it out of the truck. And he checked the air in my tires. All my tires were low. And we were talking about the tires, and they're not the best tires, especially for out here. That's one reason why I go so seldom into town. Yeah, I haven't driven since he brought it back. Okay, so the final update. Sarah is coming. I just learned this morning, and the information is in a text on my phone. They actually will fly into Vegas. Then they're going to do something there with my second grandson. Isaac loves to go fast, apparently. And they're going to take him somewhere where he can go fast, be driven really fast. This should be interesting. I hope there is video. If there is, hopefully someone will share it with me so that I can share it with you. The next day, the 19th, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get Sarah. And I might have to go get her, and I might have to hire somebody to go get her or to drive me. That's the problem. I just driving to Vegas after dark, driving anywhere after dark, walking across the yard after dark. I don't go out after dark. And so what we are doing in here is preparing it for two things. This ought to be fun to watch the whole family gathered in here. Okay, so to recap, I want to apologize for those of you I offended and you felt the necessity to dislike my video. I'm sorry. I was just trying to show y'all what life is about for me and what it might come down to you at some point. I don't know where everybody is. I don't know how well you're prepared. But I have been saying for at least 5 years, more than preparing your space, this is the space, your heart. Prepare your heart. Prepare your mind. What you're seeing is really happening. And we can pray against it. But I believe that His Word is in motion. And that's how we'll overcome. Right? By the blood and by the word of our testimony. That's all we got. So, me washing my hair in ice cold water in the kitchen sink is part of my testimony. Wherever you are, I hope you will find time. Go outside. Sit in the sun. Thank Father for the sun. It's such an integral part of our lives. And when you live off-grid and all the energy and power source you have is from the sun, you really learn. But stay tuned. There will be a denim patchwork duster that will be worn on those days when it's not raining. And you know what happens when it rains in the desert in the winter? The springtime. It happened here my first winter. It rained and rained and rained. Oh, it was terrible. And muddy everywhere. It was awful. Couldn't hardly even go out. Kind of like it is now. Don't want to go outside. But that spring, lupine everywhere. Purple. Just everywhere. and the creosote blooms. And there were cactus blooming. The pencil cactus. And the cholla, it bloomed. The driveway cactus had big blooms on it. Oh, I'm hoping if I'm here in the spring. And that's another subject for another day. I love y'all.
Yeah. May the road rise to meet you and the sun kiss your face. May there always be a miracle waiting just to bless your day. Life won't always hand you roses. Don't let it get you down. Keep your eyes on what your goal is and your feet on solid ground. Take just with you where you go. You are love, love, love.